marks the 25th anniversary of Peter Daniel Clark's life. Once a year at the celebration of life, the Peter Daniel Clark Award is given to one person whose flame inspires strength and passion and a deep commitment to those living with HIV and AIDS. This year's honoree is in a class by himself, devoting his entire life to the social justice of AIDS since the history this epidemic began. He fought for health and treatment. He fought against stigma and shame. He helped create, he helped build our state. Start up services that couldn't wait, like the Boston Living Center, to open. The founder of AIDS Action Committee and the former director of the Boston Living Center before he retired. He might blush scarlet at being called a ruby, so instead tonight, let's just call him a rose. That is Larry Kessler. So in honor of all the members and friends who have gone, the members and friends who are here, and the members and friends yet to come. As the poet said, more beautiful is the light in their eyes than all the roses in the world. Welcome Larry Kessler, and I want to invite you and Peter Daniel Clark's beloved sister, Debbie Fellman, representing Peter's family and friends, to the stage to present this year's Peter Daniel Clark Award to our friend and our rose, Larry Kessler.
Señoras y señores, el señor premiado, que es el señor Larry Kessler.
My brother Peter Clark died from AIDS-related lymphoma. He was 34 years old and just months away from the cocktail of drugs that today has helped millions living with HIV to live productive and longer lives. Peter died too early, along with so many other incredible people, and we all know so many. In the 5 years that Peter lived with HIV, he worked tirelessly to create a community for all of those who felt isolated and stigmatized. Peter truly believed in the importance and strength of community, and I think that that vision of his is evident here tonight. Peter would be so pleased to see the caring and support of this community all together because of the hard work and mission of the Boston Living Center. We thank you, BLC, for that. The building of a community is not done alone. It takes a group of like-minded people, people who share a dream and are willing to devote themselves to turning that dream into reality. In the late 80s, Peter, along with a handful of others, quickly identified the person who had become the voice of HIV/AIDS community at that time. That was also the person who started HIV support groups in the basement of a bar. That was also the same person who started the AIDS Action Committee. That person was Larry Kessler, the recipient of this year's Peter Daniel Clark Award. Yay. When Peter walked into AIDS Action all those years ago asking Larry about the possibility of hosting a Thanksgiving dinner like tonight for the AIDS community, Larry said okay, but that in the AIDS Action space there was only a microwave, a sink, and a refrigerator. It didn't matter. Peter's tenaciousness let Larry know that nothing was squelched to this dream of celebrating Thanksgiving with the HIV/AIDS community, the dream of providing a good meal for others and their families, something that would fill the attendees up in body and in spirit. Together with other like-minded activists, They started the Thanksgiving dinner at AIDS Action until the numbers hit 90, and the need for a larger venue could not be denied. Larry Kessler was by Peter's side when the Thanksgiving meal was moved to what was then called the Roxy. Larry rolled up his sleeves, helped to peel potatoes, cut turkey, and served a delicious dinner to those from the HIV/AIDS community. Larry recently shared with me that my brother Peter was the kind of volunteer one loves, a person who's able to see a need and then lets nothing get in the way of making a real difference. Peter saw Larry as a kindred spirit, the go-to guy in town, the one who seemed to clear big hurdles to get things done for all those living with HIV and AIDS. Peter respected Larry Kessler beyond measure and would be thrilled that this award is going to Larry this evening. So, on behalf of the Clark and Fellman families, I have the great pleasure of presenting the Peter Daniel Clark Award to the person who has worked tirelessly to support those living with HIV/AIDS on a personal, professional, and political level. Larry, when you retired from AIDS Action and then became the acting director of the Boston Living Center, you did both those things, and although you've done so much more for so many people, we and others don't think your work is truly done, as you, Larry Kessler, are one of the biggest change agents in the city of Boston. Congratulations and thank you for everything.
Thank you. When Jonathan Scott called me a month or two ago and said, I want you to know that the committee around the Thanksgiving dinner has selected you as the recipient of the Peter Daniel Clark Award, my first response was, well, wait a minute, I haven't gone through Halloween yet, and I'm not sure I'm ready for the Thanksgiving festive motif. But the other thing that struck me was, okay, I have enough plaques and things to pull a wall down in my home. So what I wanted to do was make sure that this award isn't going to me, Larry Kessler, but I accept it on behalf of all those volunteers who are here tonight, who have served this community so well over the years. The last 30 years, thousands of men and women, young and old, have stepped forward to say, we need to do more. We know we can do more. And that's the kind of guy that Peter Clark was. When he got off the elevator at AIDS Action and came over to me with his concept of the Thanksgiving dinner and is also his concept of starting even before Thanksgiving, almost every week. He said, we can do this because you've got a space here that looks like it would hold about 90 people. And I said, yeah, but we don't have a kitchen, as Debbie said. He said, don't worry about it, I'll fix that. And sure enough, a week or two later, the first dinner was held, and it grew rapidly over the next few months. And then before you knew it, the Roxy was hosting the first Thanksgiving dinner. And that held about, as I recall, maybe 200 or 300 people. That, as you heard earlier, the last 20 years or so has been here at the Hines, and the numbers have fluctuated, but the good news is the number of volunteers still is adequate to serve all of us and all our needs, and also to send us a witness out to the whole community that the HIV/AIDS epidemic is not over. It still has a ways to go, and there are people with HIV and AIDS who have a long way to go too. Even though we're grateful and thrilled with all the progress that some of the researchers who are in the room tonight have actually made and contributed to the health of the community, we know that we can do and will do more in the next coming years that will make AIDS an epidemic that is a memory. But at the same time, I want to call attention to the emerging new epidemic that we're all facing again. Now, I don't know exactly whether we'll be able to build forces of volunteers that will help in the same way that they did around HIV and AIDS in the opium epidemic, but at the same time, we should keep our hearts, minds, and ears open for ways that we can support people who are struggling with addiction, who are in search of recovery, who are in need support, and that means, if possible, maybe volunteering somewhere, work on some of the hotlines that will certainly crop up before long, work with a neighbor who's struggling with their issues around addiction or recovery, and just be aware, and if need be, one of the most important contributions you could make is using your pen and your phone calls to put the pressure on our government leaders at every level to do more. We need more treatment, more detox, more support, and more avenues other than jail. Jail is not the place where you get recovery, but treatment centers are. So with that in mind, I thank you. Thank you all the volunteers again tonight who are here, many of whom are from the Boston Living Center, others are from other agencies in town. They've done an amazing job and continue to do an amazing job. And on behalf of Peter, he and I just say thank you. Good night.